in a world filled with the unknown. Ghosts and spirits wander through our physical dimension. Undiscovered creatures lurk in the shadows, and strange lights and crafts seem to dominate our skies. Modern science refuses to acknowledge their existence, yet credible eyewitnesses are convinced these things are real, and it's up to independent researchers to search for the truth. Welcome to Unknown Origins Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Unknown Origins Radio. I'm Carrie Ann Versace, and joining me tonight we have Lauren DePinto, as always.
Hello, Carrie Ann. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Good. I'm scratching Kiko's belly right at the moment. We were just talking cats before, so I just had to let you know.
Yeah, I'm afraid my team may cause havoc tonight. But, well, we're sorry to say that John, holy moly.
We've got John on the brain. See, John Zaffis.
What you do. We're sorry to say that we don't have Mark with us tonight, but we do have Brian Cano joining us, and he will be taking the guest spot of hosting with us tonight. So please say hi to Brian.
Hello. I'm here once again to get my radio fix. It's been a couple days since I've been on the radio, and I need it. So I'm here, taking over.
Well, this time you get to turn the tables on your two co-hosts, so that'll be cool.
Yeah. Can't wait
Tonight's
to hear
gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, what are you gonna ask? What do you got up your sleeve?
Oh, me? I'm going to leave it to you, ladies, because since I was on the road with these cats, I almost get to sit back and smile and as they sit in the hot seat this time. But there was definitely a lot of cool stuff that happened while we were on the road, and it'll be interesting to get into the little minutiae of each case.
And if you guys don't know, we are talking about Chris Zaffis and Jason Gates, who are also on the show Haunted Collector with Brian. Which is airing every Wednesday night on SyFy. As right now, we're in the middle of the season, right? We're coming up on episode 6, right, Brian?
Yeah, this Wednesday will be the 6th episode, and it's mid-season.
I hope it's a good one. It's my birthday this Wednesday. So we got to see, yahoo! I'll be celebrating my birthday watching The Haunted Collector, so that's a good thing.
we collected something especially for you, Lauren.
Oh, how lovely. Thank you. I can't wait to see what it is.
So, Lauren, before we bring in the guys, did you have any questions for Brian tonight?
For Brian, I have a whole plethora of questions. Are you kidding? I was going to hold off on a little bit later, but as far as, I guess, personal stuff, how's everything going? How's your summer going?
Well, I wish to know, Lauren, if you actually have a plethora. Do you have a plethora?
Yes, I do. I have a plethora. It's a little broken, but it still works.
Good. My summer's been going well. It's kind of a weird thing to be home and working. I'm doing the freelance video editing, so I'm busy in different ways. And anybody that's been trying to connect with me says, hey, you're back home. What's going on? I'm like, I can't talk. I'm busy. I'm working. Aww. And they assume that, you're filming more Haunted Collector. I'm like, no, not yet. Soon, but not yet.
Yeah. Now, when are you going to be back on the road?
It's a good question. We're actually waiting to hear about that. But
okay. I remember from last year. Oh gosh, how exciting and nail biting at the same time, right?
It really is. And a friend of mine just asked, "Hey, I'm running an event in November. Do you want to come guest and do a lecture and a ghost hunt?" And I said, you know what? It's really difficult to have my life as a big question mark because I don't know. I could say, yes, I'm interested, but I don't know if I'll be on the road or not.
Right. Yeah, you can't commit. You can't commit that far down.
There are worse problems to have, so I guess I can't complain.
That's right. Good. Well, we're lucky to have you on the show. I'm pretty excited.
Thank you.
Yay. So excited.
Yeah, we're looking forward to talking to the guys. So with that said, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back with Jason and Chris.
Yay.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Once again, it's Unknown Origins Radio, and I am Carrie Ann Versace. I'm joined with my host, Lauren, and Brian tonight.
Hello, Carrie Ann. So glad to be here.
Yeah. And now we have our guest, Chris Zaffis. Thanks for joining the show tonight.
Hey, how's it going?
And we have Jason Gates.
Howdy.
Now, where are you guys? One's in Connecticut right now, and where is Jason?
I'm actually in Idaho right now on vacation.
Wow.
I'm actually in the middle of nowhere. I'm looking at my window right now, and I see snow in the middle of July.
Oh, my God. So. Was it like a toss-up between Mexico and Idaho, and you just couldn't, like, really figure it out? You just decided to go Idaho?
Yeah, it was kind of between Switzerland and Idaho, and it was like, it was a pretty easy decision, so I went with Idaho.
All right, you got your own private Idaho. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in.
I
know. Okay, back to the paranormal.
I think that's the only reason why she brought that up.
She's like, finally I get to mention this. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
In the box. Oh, my God, man.
So, Jason, I'd really like to start out with asking you about your background in the paranormal. How did you get into the paranormal, and how did you get on Haunted Collector?
Actually, when I was in high school, me and a couple friends, we started investigating kind of the local legends around the area. And to be honest, sometimes we'd take girls out to actually judge their cool factor. How they do, but we go to, the local cemeteries, kind of figure out the legends behind it, and try to go see if we could actually see anything. That's kind of where it started. And then in college, I actually got involved with a paranormal group where we, did the things that paranormal groups do. And it wasn't until I had a kind of a crazy reoccurring experience in my own apartment that I started looking into it a little more. And I don't know if I want to talk too much about that, but It's something that happened over and over and over again. It happened around about 15 times. And then that's really when I, became curious and joined the group Paranormal EXP. I worked with them for about 2 years, and then ended up working with John, which is amazing. So, and now I'm here.
So, how do you feel about working with John Zaffis, knowing that he's been around so many dark cases? Are you ever worried that may follow him and find you?
I actually find working with John, he's so experienced and everything. I'm if anything, I'm more comforted by it, just because of his experience. Before working with him, I hadn't really dealt with anything, demonic or anything of those sorts. So, on the road as we're going, I'm constantly picking his brain about those type of things, because those personally things I've never really experienced. Some of the cases that he's had to deal with, so I find that very interesting, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of us haven't, and I don't think I actually want to. So, so you're going to ask, so far the episodes that aired, what location was your favorite?
I have to say my favorite, just because I got to spend the night alone with the Italian villa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh my God! Yeah, wait. Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Are they going to make T-shirts with that on it now? That's excellent.
No kidding. Please don't.
Well, that's cool.
No, that was amazing. Having the whole place to myself all night and actually getting to sleep there, it was definitely cool.
Now, you were in a sound sleep when you heard that screaming?
Say it again, sorry?
Now, were you in a sound sleep when you heard the screaming at the villa?
No, I actually wasn't.
But it was just enough to freak you out?
We knew it happened around 3 a.m. We knew it happened around 3 a.m., so I was kind of trying to keep myself awake during that period. But, it came around, 3:45, I believe. So at that point, I was just about ready to go to bed, and I was actually just about ready to turn off the camera, and thank goodness I didn't. I was literally like 5 minutes away from shutting it off. And that surprised me. Obviously.
So did anything else happen that didn't make the show?
Yeah, actually, on the SyFy website, there's a little clip. But that was something that I found very interesting. I was actually down in one of the dining areas using the REM pod, and there had been some activity around a certain table. And I would walk across the room, and every time I would leave the table, the REM pod would go off. And that's kind of the opposite way that it should work. If you're going, you should break the EM field, and it should go off. But every time I would walk away, the REM pod would go off. So I was kind of playing around with it a little bit. I was like, okay, if I go over here, are you trying to show me where anything is? And I actually went over to the fireplace, and there was these two containers I'm not sure what they were used for, but I went to one. I'm like, is this anything important? I went to the other. And when I went to the other, it went off. And then I went back to the other one, nothing. Went back to that other one, it went off again. And that happened probably 3 or 4 times. And then I got an EVP when I asked about that, if there was anything important about that container, and it said yes. So all those, the REM pod activity mixed with the EVP and all that, to me was pretty crazy. Unfortunately, it didn't lead anywhere. I'm not sure what, was trying to be told there, but it was definitely interesting.
This is one of the things that I definitely lament about the show, and I know Chris and Jason feel the same way. So much happened at each of our investigations. As with any show, we've said it a million times, and I'll say it again until I'm blue in the face. The editors have to put together that's interesting, that fits into 22 minutes. But we're there for 3-4 days, sometimes more. And if things that lead to dead ends, I mean, we've got some great EVPs, we've got some great leads that didn't result in anything. So unfortunately, that hits the cutting room floor. And luckily this season, I know we bitched about it enough, SyFy is putting bonus up on the website, and they're a little behind right now. There's only up there right now. There should be at least one per episode. But yeah, you get to see some of that extra content, some of those extra things, and it answers the questions that the people watching the show go, hey, well, didn't they try this, or didn't they look there? The answer is yes, but you don't always get to see it.
Yeah, they kind of
a very good point.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Oh no, they just, I was agreeing with Brian, they just cut out so much, and I hope they at least they get further along where they start putting bloopers up. That's the one thing I want to see the most. I want to see how they're behind the scenes.
Yeah, the shenanigans behind the scenes.
How many times did Brian say, "What's in the box"?
What's in the box?
And I hear someone may actually get that on an episode, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those things that everyone on the team is such a character that I wish everyone could see them as I do. I wish everybody had access to them. It's like, we all have such a great time and we laugh so much. And Chris, I think we need to see some more you on the show, because
I agree.
There's a lot of good moments.
Yeah, well, I say enough dumb stuff throughout the time that I'm there. Some of it has to make it.
Until the Chris and Brian show goes national, we're gonna have to get you more scenes on Haunted Collector.
It's one of the things.
Next show.
It's one of the things I always say to your dad and Brian. It's like, you guys, I have the pleasure of hanging out with you guys, so I know how much you guys get up and how funny you are. And it just comes off so dry sometimes on the show. It's like, just let them go, let them cut it up. It's just like,
here's a moment that actually you won't see this Wednesday because no cameras were rolling when it happened. But it happened at the this bookstore in Tip City, Idaho.
Oh yeah, that was with me and you, right?
Idaho.
Yeah, and it was the first day. We had just gotten to the place. The camera guys are setting up. They're fixing Crafty. The producers are walking around looking at space. John's talking to the director, and Chris and I just walk in the back. Because we're like, hey, let's go find the Star Wars books. And as we're headed towards the back, a book flies off the shelf. And, that's kind of one of those throwaway things, like, it's like Get Out, to say a book flew off the shelf. Literally, it did. And
it went across the hall.
It was about,
really?
I'd say maybe 20 feet in front of me, and at a 90-degree angle, it flew off the shelf and landed in front of me. And I turned to Chris and I said, again, cliche, did you see that? And he goes, see what? I'm like, dude, literally, we just got here and stuff is happening and nobody got it on camera. So
yeah, it was really that was weird, and that just got us excited. Like, we started running around looking for stuff. Like, oh my god, this is gonna be a crazy game.
That's when you wish you had cameras on your foreheads 24/7.
We've gotten so many good things where cameras haven't been around, and like a producer or a director will come around the corner, and all of us will be freaking out, saying what happened, and they get pissed off because they missed it. They missed great opportunities. Oh yeah, I used to get so angry at that.
But like we always say, paranormal doesn't happen on command. It's going to happen when it wants to, and usually when it's not going to be captured, that's the sad part.
Exactly. Oh, my
so
God.
Chris,
yeah.
So, Chris, I have a question for you because watching The World Within, I remember you complaining that the Paranormal Museum was literally on the other side of your bedroom wall. How does it feel now?
I have to look at that thing.
Oh, no.
Freaking jerkhead.
Oh.
Built a 2-story barn directly outside my window. Yeah, great. I get to look at haunted stuff.
And now you see his attitude. So how does that feel now that you are actually bringing more stuff into that museum?
Hate it here.
It's more haunted crap right outside my window. Great. I love it.
Oh, no.
Now you know
it's basically like Ghostbusters. They were like sitting on top of that bomb. That's kind of how I feel like one day shit's just going to go down.
Oh, my God.
Chris, your whole Chris, your whole family's involved in the paranormal. You, your dad, your sister, but what about your mom? Does she choose not to get involved?
Yeah, pretty much. She has a full-time job and, has a lot of family in town here. So, it was a bunch of ideas, and she's a pretty big baby when it comes to this stuff, too. Like, she won't let my dad bring anything, like, haunted into the actual house. She threatens his life numerous times that if anything starts happening in the house, she will kill him.
That is on record.
and that was why the barn was built.
What was that?
I said, and that's why the barn was built, that 2-story building.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, it used to be in my basement now, but he changed it because he just kept collecting way too much stuff.
So, do you have any...
I'm sorry, Gary. Oh, no, I was just wondering. It's crossing my mind because Alec, my son, my 9-year-old, brought it up because he's a big fan of your dad. And he said, I would love to see that museum. You think your father would ever open it up to the public one day?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I know with his schedule and with filming, he just doesn't have the time. But,
right.
He has classes, and, he's not a bad guy when it comes to that. He wouldn't just close it off to people, like, without a reason. He just basically doesn't have the time. But I guess if anyone were to want to know, he has the website. You can contact him through that. But offhand, I can't really give an answer if he would or not.
Okay. I'll have to ask him next time I see him. If I see him. That's phenomenology.
I know if anyone comes over and they ask, I've given plenty of tours myself, like just to friends and people that are interested.
Right.
But, I guess it's just if you ask them.
Okay. Good enough. Sorry, Carrie Ann, I totally stepped on you.
That's okay. I was just going to ask him, so Chris, now that you finally got your feet wet in the paranormal, is there any chance that you might join Presney, work with your dad, or actually maybe, go do some exorcisms or anything?
I have, that's the one odd thing about my house is I've walked in on several kind of things taking place that really don't fit in normal households. I remember, like, within the past year, I kind of walked in on an exorcism, and I just watched it. I just stood there and watched it, and my dad was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "You have a phone call." And I kind of just went on with my day, and I was like thinking about it. I'm like,
that's a normal day in the Zaffis house.
Yeah, it basically was. I was just like, I just watched an exorcism. Okay, cool. Like, it didn't even faze me one bit.
Now,
so,
are you
I do have the stomach for it.
No.
Are you interested in...
Yeah, I've always been interested. I've gone on several cases with my dad. Besides the show, I've been kind of, like Jason said, I used to dabble a little bit when I was younger, kind of in high school, going into cemeteries and whatnot, and actually getting pretty good evidence just of random places around town. It's just, nowadays I have my other work, my other career, working on computers and stuff that I kind of need to work on at the same time too. But it's more a hobby, like how my dad started out too.
Yeah. So asking Jason, we asked him what his favorite episode is. What's your favorite episode so far?
My favorite episode so far? It would be a toss up. I like the Asylum. I like the Rectory. Last week's was pretty good. Which one was it? Damn it, Brian. What's
Rectory Grand Midway.
Yeah, the Grand Midway. Just because of this one, like the very first scene with my sister in the painting room. Her face was priceless for me. Like you could just tell she was like, "What the heck?"
That face was priceless.
Yeah. And we got to hang out with Chris there, which was a bonus.
Yeah. Poor Chris. We'll get to see him soon, hopefully. So,
take your money.
So, what do you think is your like a favorite piece of evidence that you haven't really seen make it on the air?
Actually, my favorite, it did get on air. It was with the little girl saying, "Oh my God," because I was in the room. I was part of the EVP session, and I called dibs on that EVP. I was like acting like I was the one that actually got it, and we had this running like kind of thing throughout the entire season. Who could get like the best evidence? And I automatically put my stamp that I was the one holding the recorder, so it was my EVP. And
that was one of the better ones, maybe the best. So I don't think we beat your score on that.
There's been one or two other really good EVPs. What?
What, Chase?
Oh, I said it kind of became the standard on what the other EVPs were judged on.
Yeah, and I was like, no, you didn't get the best EVP.
It's not better than curses.
Yeah. If we can't beat it, we just got to throw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was definitely my favorite. That was my favorite. That was such a clear, awesome EVP. Like, I was running around to, like, all the producers and the director and showing them what I got. I was like, look at this. This is
I made
awesome.
this.
Look what I could do. Look what I could do.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God.
Another thing that I think was kind of cool about filming this season, the three of us would always go off on these adventures that obviously, were off camera. I remember being in Hawaii, and we went in search of this beach beyond the Garden of the Gods.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Jay, do you want to tell them about that drive?
Oh, my God. You can keep going, man. I'll fill it in.
It was just crazy. I mean, we were on the island of Lanai, and there's this place called the Garden of the Gods. And the locals describe it as, it looks like a Mars landscape, literally these big volcanic red rocks, dust. And as we're driving towards it, Jason's driving, I'm in the passenger seat, taking pictures. And this film of red dust is getting all over my camera as we're sitting there. So we roll up the windows because we're breathing in all this red dust. And we find the Garden of the Gods. It's great. On the map, there's a beach, a little tiny secluded beach on the other side. So we have to get to it before the sun goes down. Otherwise, we're not going to see where we're going. And we're on this off-road, like literally the bumpiest road ever. And we're in a four-wheel drive Jeep, bouncing left and right. I think we all had whiplash after that. But once we got to the beach, the moon was almost full. It was kind of like a bromantic moment. Like we found this.
It was extremely.
This beach in the middle of the ocean. Like literally, we were alone in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, just out there.
Just three dudes.
And then we got back and started chasing deer. You remember when we got back to the hotel and the pack of deer?
Oh,
we just all of us jumped out of the Jeep and started running into the woods. Chasing deer.
God.
Oh, but the thing that made it even better, okay, obviously you don't see it on the show, and this is pretty much going to be my caveat for everything I say tonight. You're not going to see it on the show. But Jason is the Ryan Reynolds of the paranormal. This guy takes his shirt off.
I know what that means.
I was going to say it, man, but I didn't want to because I was like, well, first, when we got to the beach, actually, the rental place we got the Jeep from, it says right there, do not drive the Jeeps on the beach because we get them stuck. So the first thing we do is we decide to see how fast we can get the Jeep going on the beach. And we almost got stuck. Scared the crap out of us. But,
we were way out there.
Yeah, we were like way out there. We had to do the slowest turn ever so the wheels wouldn't tuck and we'd be stranded out in the middle of nowhere. But But yeah, we as the sun was going down, I ended up jumping in the water. I was trying to get those guys to go in, and everything to no success. But yeah, it was quite the experience.
That was a long day.
Once we found those deer, you like ran after them, so it was funny. Like Chris and I are standing there. Jason is running shirtless after this pack of deer, and in Hawaii, they're not like deer on the East Coast. They're Hawaiian deer. They're these little things, and they made like a weird noise,
bark.
right? Yes.
And they freaking bark, dude, like a dog, like literally, like.
Yes.
The craziest thing. Yeah. We're out in the middle of Hawaii, and there's barking deer, and we're chasing after them. Like, I don't even know what we were thinking in that moment. It was crazy.
Well, that was the second kind of big adventure we had when we were back on Maui. We went to the Iao Valley, and we hiked up this mountain. Jay was wearing flip-flops. I was wearing sandals. And we decided to hike up a mountain. It was absolutely ridiculous, but it was a great adventure.
Chris was wearing rain boots.
Oh, geez.
I don't even know what I was wearing.
And that's all, just rain boots.
Well, there you go.
That was it.
Working with your shirtless men and rain boots.
Literally, if we had like a GoPro camera with us or some kind of camera, they would have called it Destination Truth, because we were out there, and we didn't have Josh Gates. We had Jason Gates. So
there you go.
We're good.
Not quite as good, but almost.
As long as you have a Gates with you, it's good.
We had a Gates.
I saw the pictures. Brian has a blog. He can give out the address. These pictures from that adventure are actually up there. They're pretty cool pictures. I was so jealous. So jealous.
They were beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
There you go. Brian J. Cano at .blogspot.com. So, Brian, talking about your blog, I don't want to segue, but there's something that you had discussed that I really want to get into. You were saying that most of the crew that work on the show are all skeptics and non-believers, but by the end of the season, they were really believing. Do you want to talk about what happened to some of them?
Well, when it comes to filming a paranormal show, everyone that's part of the crew, whether it be a sound technician, the directors, the producers, the camera guy, these cats are Hollywood professionals. They're out here to do a job, and their job is to make a product. So, if you're filming a cop show, it's not like they know Miranda. If they're filming a medical show, it's not like they would know how to operate on a patient. They're filming a paranormal show. They don't necessarily need to believe, and for the most part, they don't care. They don't believe. They're like, yeah, this is all crap, and whatever. We're just going to film it, and it's going to be good. One by one, case by case, everywhere we went, literally from the first case on, something would happen to various crew members that would scare them, freak them out, and they would come running to us, like myself or John or anybody, and they say, hey, this just happened. I can't explain it. What's going on? And we would just smile at them and go, yep, that's what happens. Like, Chris, tell them about what happened to Goldie at the King House.
Oh, my God. Well, isn't it kind of known that kind of audio guys get messed with the most? Like, because of all the frequencies they use and mess around with?
It is known.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's were you in the room with me, or was it just me?
We were both in the porn room, yeah.
The
porn room. That was an awesome best room ever.
I love that room.
But
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Porn. Lots of porn.
And me and Brian are in this room, and the audio guy's out in the hallway, and really professional guys. I mean, everyone knows when there's a scene going on or something's going on, everyone shuts up and doesn't do anything. So I'm standing there, and he's got this massive 60-pound bag strapped to his chest, and there's no way to really get it off unless you physically unhook it. And out of nowhere, all I hear is this huge crash, and the bag had fallen off of his chest, landed on this table, knocked everything over. Everyone's screaming, and I just look at my buddy's face, and he's horrified. Like, that I've never seen it happen before. And he was like, you have to lift the bag up and unclamp it, and I didn't do that. So this bag fell off of him, and he was really distraught about it. He was freaked out because of that. And it also kind of ruined the scene too.
It was attached by a carabiner, so it's not even like he could have leaned a certain way. It's not like it got hooked on something and pulled it. It's like literally the thing came unhitched, fell, and once the weight of the bag shifted, his whole body went back, and he kind of crashed into this end table, and then the whole thing collapsed and fell on the floor. So that was the first instance, and when that happened, some of the producers were like, oh, he's just being clumsy, or oh, he's having a bad day, whatever. They didn't chalk it up to paranormal, but every place we went to, we were in New York at the Hulbert House, and our one of our camera guys, Josh, had a door slammed on him, and it was this large attic doorway. It slammed. And it really startled all of us, but he was standing right next to it, and literally there was no logical reason for it to have fallen down because it was held up by a latch. Mm-hmm. So it had to have come unlatched and fallen down. And, sure, gravity might have its play in all this, but so many instances you can't ignore.
Actually, he was funny. Josh was funny with all that because a few days actually before that, Brian, didn't he get scratched too?
Oh, that's right. I think so. I never actually saw it.
And then when that door slammed, he's a big guy. Like, he's like twice my size. And he doesn't really spook that easily. But the week before, he got scratched, and it kind of freaked him out. He was talking to my dad a lot. And then this happened again, and it scared the crap out of all of us. But it really got to him. He was like, why does this shit keep happening to me?
Well,
he started freaking out.
The thing that makes it even funnier is that he used to work on Ghost Hunters International, didn't he? Him and
yeah, he was part of
Zach.
too.
So yeah, it's like you would think that after going to those places that they would have been used to it by now.
Yeah. Or at least believers, that's for sure.
Right.
But like I keep saying, Ziggity is a magnet, so maybe he didn't. Maybe nothing happened to them out with those GHI guys. But you roll with John Zaffis and stuff happens.
Yeah.
I will say that I'll say before working with John, and as you guys all know, you do an investigation, you're there 8 hours, and you might get a couple good EVPs if you're lucky. But working with John, it's literally amazing. We could be there a half hour and get, this EVP that just blows your mind. It's, it really surprised me. But I talked to Brian a little bit about it, and, he said the same thing. He said John's a magnet, so it is very interesting.
Yeah, he's a magnet in so many ways because I remember, I'll never forget one of the scenes in The World Within, whereas, John's on the other side of the world and some bum will come up to him and be like, I know who you are, John Zaffis, and it's only because the guy is being possessed by a demon that John has already eradicated from another person on the other side of the world.
That's the scariest scene in that movie. It really is.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Josh, you need to watch, Jason, you need to watch The World Within for sure.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, man, that's given me kind of bad flashbacks about those Korean women at McDonald's the other day. Now I'm a little spooked.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, man.
They're the ring women. Yeah, at least they didn't come crawling across the ceiling. That would have been a sure sign.
Ew.
You're him,
so,
aren't you?
So what other moments, Brian, happened to the cast guys?
Let's see, what else?
Well,
Chris,
wait
do
a
you
minute,
remember what else?
Well, that happened to people?
That happened
to
our crew.
Actually, there was a couple. There was the Italian villa and in Hawaii with Zach. He saw a lot of stuff happen to him too, but he didn't really talk too much about it. Like he would see things and stuff would kind of poke him and touch him, and he was getting really freaked out, especially in Hawaii. I think in Maui, which there was so much crazy stuff that happened in that place.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to watch the show to know what I'm talking about.
What happened at the Italian villa? Do you remember?
There was actually this urn of their cat that they had cremated, and apparently they see this cat running all over the place, and they hear bells, like the bell around its neck, and for some, I can't remember exactly what happened to him, but he said he either felt like an animal brush past his leg, or he was hearing the bell, or something that was happening. And me and Brian were in the same room, and we couldn't see or hear anything, and it was kind of messing with him a little bit.
Yeah, that's one of the big claims, is that cat touching people and meowing while people are dining there, actually.
Yeah, and that kind of happened, but I don't think we got too much along the lines of the cat. But I know something was happening with one of our cameramen in that room. You have to ask him more in depth. Yeah.
I do like how that all came together, how you guys resolved that whole case. It was really put together in a nice little package, how it turned out to be that lady, and her husband cheated on her. You guys really did a great job putting that together.
There were tons of dead ends in that episode where, like you said, I give the editors a ton of credit, and maybe it's because I'm an editor myself, but all the different storylines, all the different stuff, like, Jay was there overnight, he did a whole bunch of stuff, Chris and I got a bunch of EVPs and things. Each member of the team had so much to contribute to each case in each episode that, when it goes back to the editing room, they got to kind of fish through it all and decide what's going to be the main focus, because, after the investigation and after the baseline sweep, we got to go with something so that John can go to an expert and figure out, what's going on. Speaking of which, Chris, I hope this week they keep in that scene when we're in the basement in Oberlin and we find those pictures.
Oh my God, I really hope they put that in. That was just a funny moment.
What kind of pictures are they, Brian? Or you can't share that?
Yeah.
Naughty pictures.
No. Yeah. Oh, no.
Naughty pictures.
Oh,
porn.
More porn.
Porn Collector. Coming up on Porn Collector.
I will say that there's a lot more porn on this season than last season.
There's 100% more porn.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Lauren, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have something for Chris, as a matter of fact. When I was studying back... What up? When I was, back in college, I had the honor of meeting your great aunt and Uncle Ed, and your great aunt and Uncle Ed and Lorraine Warren. And, for the listeners, that these two were legendary couple who investigate over 10,000 hauntings throughout their career. Now, your dad spent the first few years studying under them, and I'm curious if they influenced you as well.
Actually, I didn't get to spend too much time. I knew them, I only met them a couple times, and I was really young, and kind of towards when I did get involved with more paranormal, Ed was deteriorating, and he eventually passed. So anything that really comes from them is because my dad learned under them, and now I'm learning under him. I didn't really get much time to, with them.
Right. They were pretty amazing. I have to say, they came to my college, and that was when I heard my first EVP, and it blew my mind. They had a recording of the, it was one that took place in England, but it was just the scariest thing I ever heard, and ever since then, I said, that's it. I'm totally going down this road, So they were pretty cool, I have to say. They influenced me.
Gary, let me pursue this.
Yeah, exactly. That's me. Oh my goodness.
I think of the things that we have yet to see, guys, which episode are you looking forward to the most? I know which one I'm looking forward to. What about you, Jay?
I know which one I'm looking forward.
Let's see, that's a tough one, man. I'm actually really looking forward to Hawaii.
Same here.
Just for Hawaii.
Hawaii was great. I'm looking forward to Vegas, too.
Really. Yeah, Binions.
Yeah, I want to see how they do that. You remember the fire alarm, Brian?
Winner, chicken dinner.
Right, you remember the fire alarm?
Oh, yeah, that's right. The fire alarm went off twice.
Fire alarm. Oh,
that was funny.
There was another instance. We were filming in Binion's casino. The casino part is still active, but the hotel is closed off for whatever reason. Now, as we're investigating the place, I was stationed at Command Central, so I'm watching all the cameras. And for some reason, nobody is where I can see them. Like, I can't see Chris or John or Jay. And all of a sudden, I see coming up the stairwell this girl, and she's glowing. She's glowing white. And I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my God, a woman in white? Get out of town. And she goes up the stairway, kind of floats by, and then she I catch her on another camera walking down the hallway. And that's when I see, her Prada bag and her shoes and the bling, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So I take off. And I think the camera follows me. I mean, this is obviously something they're never going to put in the episode, but I run down the hall and I find this girl, and we're in pitch darkness. And I said, excuse me, can I help you? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm looking for, and she was actually looking for our friend Tim. And sad story, Tim just recently passed away, and we all miss him. But this was one of those funny stories where the director
he was so embarrassed.
Yeah, the director happened to be with me when we saw it, and he's like, this is great, follow him, just whatever, keep rolling. As I tracked down what I thought was something, but it turned out to be a girl. But I don't mind finding those either.
She was a fleshy. A fleshy. What are the hotels like where you guys stay? I mean, is it pretty consistent, or is it like, I always think of, on Destination Truth, whenever they get that car, it's always some kind of jalopy or broken down thing, and, Josh makes fun of it and this and that. I mean, is it pretty consistent? Do you stay at nice hotels, or is it kind of like in the area?
Well, it's more price for the most part. In the area. I mean, we have stayed in a couple of dumps.
I think Ohio, every place we went to in Ohio was a dump.
Oh, yeah. We stayed at a couple crappy places, but, I mean, after a while, you stay in so many hotel rooms. I mean, I know personally I would find anything wrong with the room, even if, I liked the room a little bit. There was something in that room I hated.
Something's going to skeeve you.
Hate the room.
Yeah, I skeeve too.
We had a competition going on for rooms. I remember this because every hotel we checked into, we would all go to our rooms, and then maybe 10 minutes later, we'd go down to the lobby, and I'd be like, yeah, well, I got a jacuzzi in mine. Oh yeah, well, I got a private bathroom. Oh, well, I've got this. And whoever didn't have whatever would then go to the front desk and get their room moved.
No way. That's good.
Jason, in Kentucky, you moved your room twice.
Oh, I don't have hot water in my room for the third time. How many times did I not have hot water, man?
You had to move twice in Kentucky.
Yeah, that was funny. It's crazy.
And then we get to Hawaii, where we're staying at a Four Seasons, and the Four Seasons was beautiful. It was amazing. It was paradise on earth. However, we were also poor. We couldn't afford food, so
it was like $30 for a burger.
Oh my
God!
No joke.
It's like, thanks for Crafty. Hoarding those
spam.
chips.
Yeah, the spam is cheap out there, right? Isn't spam like a popular meat item?
Oh yeah.
Is that true though? I mean, I've never been to Hawaii, but
Yeah, spam is huge out there.
Yeah.
Is it really? Yuck.
So guys, I have a question. I have a question from the chat room from SBHC. She's a huge Haunted Collector fan. She wants to know what you guys do to keep things from following you home. Who wants to go first, Chris?
Karate chops. Swear to God.
No, sun shop.
Karate chops. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a few things that I learned from my dad, just prayers, or, I mean, I know I have faith that helps me. I mean, I've learned a couple things from my dad, but overall, just keeping your guard up, not really doing or confronting everything that you have learned. Well, that I've learned, I put into practice. I'm not very confrontational when I'm doing EVPs or anything. Respectful and just keeping my guard up, really. And thank God I haven't had anything follow me back. And hopefully, being around my dad, that they'll go after him instead of me.
The magnet.
Yeah, I just throw him to the go get him.
Oh.
What about you, Jason? Do you have any kind of prayers or things you do?
Going into this, I didn't kind of skeptical about things following me home, to be honest. But I did talk to John about it, and what he told me was, it doesn't really matter what you believe. What's important is that you have something positive. So from that point on, basically, I wear a necklace that has special meaning to me. That's a positive thing. And when I go on, I just make sure that, I basically have my own armor up and have that positivity.
What about you, Bri?
I'm just oblivious. When it comes to things following me home, I've always said this: if there is a score of spirits here in my house right now trying to get my attention, they're going to be sorely disappointed because I'm just not paying attention. And I know John's been here in my house a few times, and he goes, "Buddy, there's ghosts here." I say, they are not going to be entertained because I'm really not going to pay attention. Like this. My house is my safe zone, and this is my cocoon. So I don't do EVP sessions here. I don't do any of the work here. So, if it's something that I really feel we're going into a rough case that's negative, I will try to have something positive with me. I'm not a very religious person, but I think I have enough faith to keep those things at bay.
I know you well enough to know that you consider yourself a skeptical believer. Anything change your mind this year to make you a real believer, or scare you, or actually frighten you?
You're talking to me, Carrie-Ann?
Yeah.
Well, I think believer is believer. It's gravity doesn't enact partially on you. You're either subject to gravity or you're not. So. I believe I'm skeptical about the things that are reported. So that's to say I'm not skeptical about the occurrence. I'm skeptical about the report. It's the people I don't believe. It's the people who say, oh, there's an orb and it's the Archangel Gabriel and it's this and that. And tell me another one.
Now, Brian, when you got scratched, that must have really freaked you out because has that ever happened to you before?
That has never happened to me that I'm aware of. The scratches, and actually I've been asked about this a lot this week. It's something I think about a lot, and Tim at the Rectory also got scratched, and he and I had a little conversation the other day about, this is something we do think about pretty much every day because I really haven't resolved it. I haven't really accepted that, hey, this could have been paranormal because if you know me, I'm a very logical person, and I will go through great pains to find a logical explanation for something. So, all right, did I scratch myself? Did I have an itch that I scratched? The stairs going down to the basement was very small. I could have rubbed up against some of the wood, or there might have been a nail sticking out. Did I not take my allergy pill that morning? And was my skin a little more sensitive? Like, there's so many things, so many variables that in my mind are saying, hey, pay attention to me.
Yeah, based upon what I saw on TV, it looked like a gouge. It didn't look like something that you would have just scratched up against. Your shirt wasn't ripped. It did look like the typical scratches that people get when they come across something kind of paranormal like that. And the owner was bitten too, wasn't he bitten as well?
I'm unsure,
Tim?
But one of the things I said to Tim was, we're all animal lovers on the show, so we all have a connection to animals. But me, I'm a cat person. I love all animals, and dogs are great, but I'm not comfortable when they come and they jump up on you. Because, they always want to jump up on you, and they've got their nails that they can't retract like cats. So it's like, oh, nice dog, nice, get down. I felt like if it's going to happen to anybody, it's going to happen to me because I'm the least receptive to it, and therefore it would have more impact.
Right. You guys brought a dog in on this case. How did you feel about working with an animal on an investigation?
He was scary at first, but then he was cool.
Yeah, he was. He seemed nice, and he started freaking out. Right? Yeah. Was he big? I didn't. Yeah. What kind of breed was that? Because I couldn't tell. Because Doberman.
Pinscher, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was sweet. I mean, especially with people around that knew how to take care of him and stuff. I mean, he had people there, so I mean, they wouldn't have let him do anything crazy. They were like, really be careful around him. Because he was a big guy. He was.
It's funny. You have three cast members of Haunted Collector on tonight, and the two that actually worked with the dog are not here.
They're gone.
That's right. Oh my goodness! But that was a great episode, guys. It was amazing. It really was.
Yeah, it was scary to watch.
And hey, what's the final outcome with the rectory? Did the guy continue to, he's renovating it? Is he continuing with this?
Yes, he is. I did get a report the other day that Terry's father or grandfather had been in the rectory, and he just recently got scrapped. So I don't know what to make of that. It could be said that it's one of those things that it's not one item or one thing that could be removed to make it all go away and calm down the energy. It might need a couple of things in tandem to really calm down that energy.
Right. Well, here's my last question, and then I'll let everybody else jump in. But did you ever get a call back from a client stating, that whatever was troubling them has returned?
Yes. Absolutely.
And what do you do at that point? I mean, do you kind of hand it off to somebody else, or?
The show being mainly a Cliff Notes entertainment version, John has contacts pretty much in every town across the United States. So if those people need any additional help or follow-ups, he's got people he can contact in the area to take care of that. But sometimes the activity that is at a location is caused by the person themselves, whether it be them practicing certain things or doing rituals, or if they're bringing it in. Right. Do they, they ask for the help, but they're continuing to do the behavior that caused the activity in the first place. So there's really not much we can do to stop that activity if they're causing it themselves.
Right. That makes sense. So they're going to have to work on it themselves. And as far as John goes, it's so funny. Carrie Ann had mentioned, she quoted him as the godfather of the paranormal, and he really is. I could just see him sitting back on, all right, let me help you out. Make this phone call here. He's gonna help you out now. He's such a good guy.
Well, guys, I hate to say this, but we're gonna have to take a break right now, and we'll be right back. Hey, everyone! Thanks for joining us. I'm Carrie Ann Versace. We're here with Lauren DePinto and Brian Cano, Chris Zaffis, and Jason Gates. Yeah, we have a full house tonight, so
it's been fun. It's like a little party.
It's the cast of Haunted Collector. So, guys, we've been talking about crazy things that have been going on while you're on the road, on the show, and off the show. Going back to your blog, Brian, I do believe I read something that you actually had some creepy stuff going on at a hotel you guys were staying at.
Ooh.
I feel like, what hotel did we not have creepy stuff going on at? But we were at a place. Where were we? Oh, this was at Jordan Springs. We were staying one town over in Winchester, Virginia, which was cool because it's a Winchester's, and we're all big Supernatural fans.
Yeah.
Chris, were you involved in this? Do you want to tell about the crickets?
I don't think I was one of the people affected by it. I know everyone else, just not me. I did like the rooms, though.
I know the manager really kind of, when we first got to this hotel, this was a Holiday Inn Express, and this was one of the nicer Holiday Inn Expresses we'd been to. And the minute I got in my room, somehow I got locked out of my bathroom. The lock wasn't working, and the way the door closed, it's like I just couldn't get in, which was ridiculous. So I had to call the manager up to say, hey, I got locked out of my bathroom. So long story short, this created a quick bond between me and the manager. And over the course of our filming in the area, she would come to me with weird things that were happening in the hotel. And one day I'm coming back. It was on one of the breaks we had, and she kind of gestures me to come over to the desk, and she whispers and she says, "Does anyone on your crew have any weird fetishes?" I said, not that I would know, but I don't think so. Why? What are you talking about? Did you find any mascot suits, somewhere? Like, what's going on? She goes, well, a couple of the guests have been complaining about crickets, and I wanted to know if somebody had a cricket fetish. I'm like, a cricket fetish? Like that's where you went?
Yeah.
Okay. I said, no. I said, well, who has been complaining? And she gave me the rundown of names, and it was like one of our PAs, our assistant director, and one of the producers. And I'm thinking, okay, these are not people who are going to fool around. I said, well, we did some filming outside, so maybe one or two of them came in on our bag. And she goes, no, it's not one or two, it's like 20 or 30 in each room. So after she told me that, I sent a quick text to our executive producer, and I said, hey, this weird weather we've been having, there's been some odd omens. Add plague of locusts to that. And it totally freaked him out. So he's nervous on this end. He's a nervous guy to begin with, but
you were the one that started that.
This got him even more nervous. So, okay, fast forward. We'd done the baseline. It was either the baseline or the investigation, and we're coming back to the hotel, and we're hanging out a little bit. Me, Gates, and Twofer were playing some blackjack, just hanging out, and John. Oh, this was right. This was after the investigation and everything, because John had come back. He had spent some time with the owner of Jordan Springs, and they were getting to know each other and just having a good time. He was 3 sheets to the wind.
Oh my gosh, man.
See, Ziggity is a happy drunk, and it was awesome to see him so illuminated. The executive producer, was with him. He's in a good mood. He goes, look, let me just go upstairs, drop my bag off. I'll be right back down. But when he came back down, he had this look on his face. He goes, oh my God, my room is filled with crickets. What's going on here? John, what's going on here? This is supposed to be a TV show. This is not supposed to be real. What is happening here? So he's flipped out. John instantly snaps into investigator mode, and he goes, all right, let's go up to your room. Let's find out what's going on. We go to his room. The bathroom is crawling with crickets. And, one thing leads to another. I call up Chris. I said, Chris, you got to get down here. And Chris, you could take it from here.
Well, I mean, it wasn't too bad without getting into specifics. He eventually got rid of all the crickets. I think he flushed them down the toilet or something like that. And he had a few drinks in him that night, so he was very hard to get out of the room. He thought he needed to do more stuff. And I remember one of the very last things was I was trying to just get him out of the room, and there was a cricket on the wall. And I'm trying to just get my dad out of the room. I'm like, okay, it's just time to go to bed. It's late. And I gesture. I kind of hit Brian, and I'm like looking at the wall. I'm like, dude, look at the wall. And he was like, oh crap. And if our executive producer had seen it, we knew he was going to freak out, send my dad going crazy again. And so he does end up noticing it. And he's like, oh, my God, our executive producer, the guy that kind of runs the whole show. And he's like, oh, my God. My dad's like, what? And I look at my executive producer, and I go, shut the hell up. I started yelling at him. I'm like, keep your mouth quiet. We're getting in the bed. And I just completely yelled at him. And, that was a very, very long night.
One of the story producers was there at the same time, and she was filming. She was just recording on her phone. And she thought we were joking around. She thought we put the crickets in the room, like we were playing a trick on him. And at one point, I got really mad at her. I said, look, put the phone down. This is not a joke. This is not for fun. I don't want to see this on YouTube. Stop it. And she looks at me, and she's like, holy crap, he's serious. And I was like, yeah, we're being serious.
Yeah,
wow. This is just another example of, the producers and the crew not believing, and even when confronted with it, it doesn't always register with them.
That was earlier in the season?
How far into that was it? We were maybe a month or two on the road.
Yeah, it was midway through.
Yeah, so it took them a while to really get under the influence of what was going on. I mean, we have people in the chat room saying stuff like, this is supposed to be a TV show, not supposed to be real. So I'm sure it was a rude awakening for a lot of people.
Yeah, we converted a good amount of the crew. And we were all laughing because we're used to this stuff. Like, I mean, yeah, it kind of unnerves you a little bit, but these guys are genuinely freaked out, and we're just laughing our asses off. It's like, yeah, that's what you get when you come on a paranormal show, you idiots.
Jason, and I bet, how many experiences did you have before joining this cast? I'm sure it wasn't a lot, so this was probably a lot to absorb.
I had a few crazy things happen to me. We were doing an investigation at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles, and one of the doors actually slammed in my face, which we caught on video. Thank goodness. I mean, that definitely kind of shocked me. I was always kind of a skeptic, so something like that's pretty blatant. It's kind of an awakening, I'd say. And, we've gotten a bunch of crazy EVPs and everything. But, yeah, like I said before, working with John, it's just things happen with John that are not going to happen elsewhere. So it was definitely, what would I say, I guess an eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
So Jay, one of the things that doesn't get shown a lot on the season, and I know it's something we all pushed for, a lot of the personal moments and the moments of growth aren't really shown because they're dropped in favor of formula. And the first episode, you see, you arrive, we get the new investigators onto the team, and from there it's business as usual. I know you and I, and me and Chris have spent a lot of moments, a lot of time after investigations just kind of decompressing and chatting and talking and kind of really getting into it and trying to figure out what's been happening on the road. From the first investigation all the way through to Hawaii and those last cases in Connecticut, tell me how Haunted Collector has changed you, if at all, and how do you feel it's either added to, what has Haunted Collector done for you? What has being with John done for you? Tell us how it's affected you.
Being kind of a skeptic my entire life, and going into this and seeing these things that, literally can't be explained, it definitely opens my mind. And by the end of this, I feel almost kind of conflicted because I feel every investigation I go into, I should be approaching it still as a skeptic, but also with an open mind. But at this point, it's kind of a thing where I'm struggling. I definitely believe, like Brian said, I definitely believe that there's something out there. There's something that we can't explain. But it's just a matter of how often is what we're experiencing really paranormal, and how often is it, something natural that we can't explain. If that makes sense. But that line has kind of been blurred, definitely by the end of the season with what we've experienced and whatnot.
Jason and Brian right now.
Yeah, it's ziggity. Yeah, it's tough because
what the hell's going on around here?
Put your dad on. Get your dad on. What's your line, Brian? Get your dad on the line.
Chris, I think you better get your dad on.
What the hell's going on around here?
Everyone, that's the voice of John Zaffis. Thanks, John, for coming on.
How you guys doing? Good?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, it's ziggity, it is.
Ziggity.
Jason's with us.
God.
You didn't believe it.
All right, well, I got to let the kids have this airtime here, guys. I get enough of my own.
That is the truth. Get off. Get out of here.
Uh-oh. I hear Junior in the background. There's Junior. Hold on.
You're my thunder.
We're taking over.
Thunder, Ziggity.
He's such an attention whore. takes over my radio time.
Oh my
God. Oh my God. So
hate it here.
I hate it here.
Did I answer your question, Brian?
Yes, you did. I mean, because it's
okay.
You have a unique perspective coming onto the team. I mean, obviously Chris is on Team Zaffis for life, and same with Amy. And I've worked with John for some time, so I've been recruited as family, so you coming in as a new member, you have almost the purest perspective as to, hey, this is what you had before you came into it, and you kind of grew with us through the season. So, like, you're now a different investigator than you were from day one.
Yeah.
And hopefully hopefully it was a positive thing for you.
It was terrible, man. Terrible. No, it was great. And I think, in the beginning it was so interesting too, trying to, with me and Jesslyn coming on, trying to find out where we fit in and how we all work together. And I know that was something that was kind of adjusting throughout the entire season.
Yeah, I'm sure it was hard probably coming into a cast that's worked together for a year. It had to be a little awkward trying to figure out where you fit in.
Yeah, well, he literally didn't fit because the van, he had to sit in the back. Right, Jay?
That is so true. That is so true. No. That's something.
I think your head still hits the ceiling on bumps.
What's that?
I said I think your head still hits the ceiling as you guys hit bumps, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. We actually, yeah. It was horrible. There were days when I couldn't turn my head all the way. Just because I'm not even that tall. I'm 6'1", but my torso is incredibly freakishly long. So sitting in the back of that van, even though like I literally have to slump down and I'm hanging off the chair, and so it was a guy in the back of the van. It was
That's why next season.
Really heard me complaining quite a bit.
That's why next season Chris and I are gonna get in the tech van, and you can have the middle seat.
You can move up in the van while we get our own.
I think we should get motorcycles with sidecars.
Getting a helicopter.
Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
Sidecar.
Zaffis, Cano, and Gates.
It would be really cool if you guys start to go international. That would be really interesting to see. I hope that you guys do stuff over there. That would be really neat.
There have been whispers.
Travel around on scooters.
Ooh.
There have been whispers.
So, hey, listen, are you...
on the wrong side of the road.
But seeing as how we drove everywhere, like, this season, they would probably make us row our own boat over to Europe, so that would kind of be tough.
With one oar.
Yeah, with one oar. Again.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going to swim it, Brian. We're going to swim it like we're going to swim the Lanai.
Well, I snorkeled for the first time with you guys out there, so I could do it. I'm game.
Yeah.
We'll follow that big turtle all the way out.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, are you guys leery shoppers at, say, garage sales or estate sales these days now?
Do
you
Not
pick
for
and
me.
choose?
I know my mom is.
Really?
I know my mom and dad are fanatics with that. I mean, my dad comes home with some very interesting items sometimes.
My dad is actually a little paranoid these days. I was talking to my mother the other day, and she goes, "Oh, your father's going nuts. He's throwing out all the things that we got at yard sales. He says don't buy anything at flea markets anymore." Like, he's really taking it seriously. So me not so much. But my dad seems to be taking it to heart.
Really? So he thinks that, really? So some of the stuff that may be in your house may have an attachment. He's really kind of sifting through what you've got? Wow.
My dad's crazy, so I am my father's son, so I have maybe another 15, 20 years before I go crazy too. So it's coming.
Oh,
my dad hunts goose.
Yeah, I think Chris wins. I think Chris wins.
My dad hunts goose.
That's what my kids say about me. It's all over the school. Like, your mom's cool. Hey, Chris, guys. Oh, sorry, Carrie Ann. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's probably would be scary to say my dad deals with demons. Is a little bit scarier than he hunts ghosts.
Yeah, the usual saying, like, my dad could punch your dad. Well, my dad could punch a demon in the face, right?
So that's something that they don't go into on the show too much. It's like, all right, this guy tangles with some pretty dark things. I think it's somebody's jewelry box he can handle, no problem.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
I do have one more question if I could pop in. The show is great and I love it, and I'm sure it's going to continue on for many, many years. But just curious, what do you see yourself doing after the show when it's, had its run?
Chris,
Brian?
You start this one off.
Chris? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Depending on how long the show is, I definitely have other career paths to take. I'm into computers and stuff, and that's what I was doing before the show started. So, after the show's done, as opposed to popular belief, we aren't that famous and we don't have that much kind of money. We still got bills to pay.
That's
yep.
right.
So I gotta find a job.
All right, who's next? Come on, Brian.
Jason Gates, you're
Jason.
I've been volunteered.
He's thinking.
As far as the paranormal goes, I'll probably just still definitely have questions. And there's definitely different things I like to tackle. I'm really into the outdoors and whatnot, and there's certain locations that are pretty isolated that I'd actually like to investigate. So I guess it'd just kind of be, as far as the paranormal goes, it'd be still kind of a personal thing for myself, just answering questions. As far as life, I don't know. We'll see where that takes me.
What were you doing before the show as far as, financial income, if I could pry?
Ponzi schemes.
No. Actually, I'm an actor. I do a lot of commercial work. So obviously I'm going to continue doing that because that's also one of my passions.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Now, Brian?
I think for me, I think it's just more being me. I've been doing paranormal before the show started, and that's going to be true afterwards. Scared has not been put on hold. Scared is still going and will go as long as we draw breath. In addition to that, I've got a lot of personal projects, film and otherwise, that me and the other Chris Mancuso, are always assigning for ourselves. So I think, however long or short Haunted Collector goes, we definitely have a lot of work ahead of us. I hope Haunted Collector goes for, some more time, because I really feel that people need to get what we're putting down. Zach, Jason, and Grant, whatever the shows that are out there, they're great, and, for entertainment value, they're good. These guys learned from John, and I feel if people are going to emulate what they see on TV, I kind of want them to learn from the guy who taught everyone. Right. And that's really my feeling, like, hey, guys, this has nothing to do with ratings, or this has nothing to do with the items we're taking. This is like, look, this is how we do it. This is the guy who knows the most, and I still learn from the guy every day. So I feel the message needs to get out there, and it's like Firefly. You can't stop the signal, and it's out there.
That's fantastic. There's going to be a lot of success in all three of your futures. That's fantastic. How inspiring. Kara, where do you got for this? Where are you going with this now? I don't want to step on your toes. Oh, it's in the box. I don't want to step on your toes now.
What's in the box?
Well, we're actually coming to the end of the show. I wanted to maybe discuss some events you guys are going to be at, and maybe some other things you're going to be doing. Brian?
What I'm doing?
Yeah, like what events you guys are going to be at. I want to let people know. And
well, as far as Haunted Collector events, the first official Haunted Collector event is going to happen on September 15th at St. Albans, at the Asylum down in Virginia. Now, that's going to be myself, John, and Chris. If that event does well and it takes off and it's popular, we're going to do more events at other locations that you've seen in the show. We're going to pull in some more of the cast. And that's it for right now. I know, just for personal things for Scared, we're not sure where we're going for the next couple of months, but come October, Chris Mancuso and I are going to be back on our college lecture tour, same time as John. So we'll be hitting schools across the East Coast.
Sam and Dean in it again.
Sam and Dean.
That's great.
Watch out.
That's fabulous.
St. Albans, it doesn't seem like you guys got enough time to spend in there, at least on the camera. And everything that guy said, it made the place sound really scary. Did anything happen there that didn't make it on the air? Because I'm sure he scared the crap out of Amy when he was talking to her, because it scared me when he was talking about a lot of the stuff.
Well, I've told this story a bunch of times, but actually, Chris, you were at the monitors with Amy. Tell them what happened that scared her to run out.
To run out?
Yeah.
I mean, she was jumpy all over the place. I mean, she hated. It was just the fact that it was a mental an asylum, and I mean, she wasn't very comfortable in there. And are you talking about when I left, Bri?
Well, I think she talked to somebody, one of the witnesses, and he said that, look, there's two ghosts down in the basement. They don't like that you're here, and they say that if you don't leave, they're going to mess with you, and they're going to erase your tapes. Those tapes, you're going to get them back to the studio, and there's going to be nothing on them. And ironically, when we went down into the basement, I remember one of the first scenes, everything shut off. All the cameras, all the audio equipment, we just had a total blackout for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And after we got power and things came back up online, it was either the next day or later that same day, you and Amy were on the monitors. And when you came down to help out with us in the basement, Amy didn't like being alone, so she got the hell out of there.
She booked it. She was like, if you were planning, it was like, don't leave my side the entire time. And she was just like, this place is freaky. This is not fun. And wouldn't you know it, I ran downstairs and left her there by herself. I mean, that place is huge, too. I mean, I don't think anyone didn't get lost there.
Yeah.
Like, everyone kept getting lost.
See, it didn't seem that large looking at it.
It was massive. I mean, I had a blast there.
It was a maze.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think the last day I went down in the basement by myself to kind of explore around a little bit, and I got completely lost. I had no flashlight. I just had my cell phone. So I was just kind of using the light from that to get around.
Beautiful.
And I ended up popping up literally on the other side of the asylum. I had no idea where I was. Came out there and ended up walking up behind the crew who didn't know I was there and scared the crap out of all of them. Like, who's down there? But, yeah, that place was crazy.
I kept my cool by doing the usual quoting movie quotes just to make myself feel better. I was paired up with Jesselyn that night, and on one of those areas where we were hearing a lot of bangs and noises, it was actually a bowling alley down underneath the asylum. They didn't label it as such on the episode, but we were in a bowling alley. So, of course, what am I quoting? I'm quoting "There Will Be Blood," and I'm just sitting there going nuts, going, drainage. I drink up your oil well. I drink your milkshake, and it was ridiculous. And of course, they can't use any of it because it's just acting like an idiot saying "I drink your milkshake" for no reason. I drink it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get to that place. I mean, like I said, it didn't seem that big, but a lot of these places don't look big on TV, but they're enormous when you're in them. They're enormous.
TV adds 10 pounds, and it takes away rooms and floors.
Yep.
Oh my God! And Chris, your dad brought home that electric shock device to the museum.
Yeah.
Is it across the way?
Huh?
And it's across the way. You could just go in and check it out. It's amazing how you can do that. That's to me, that's exciting. For you, it's a nightmare. I'm sure.
It kind of loses its luster after 30 seconds.
I got to go up there this past week and see it. It was pretty cool seeing stuff that was on the show. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, he's put a lot of effort into it, and he did a really good job on it. I like it, but it's starting to get too small now.
Yeah, the place is getting packed.
Yeah, do you feel anything when you walk in there, Carrie-Ann?
I don't like it when I'm alone. I don't mind it when we're all in there because most of the time we're laughing. But like when everyone left me and I was standing there, I was looking around. I'm like, yeah, I'm by myself now. And knowing the stories of a lot of the stuff, it's like so it gets
E.
yeah.
E.
Yeah. Super creepy.
You guys are crazy.
So we're sorry to say that we're coming to the end of the show, and I really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. We had a really good time.
You guys are fun.
Got any last words?
E?
Same as it ever was.
Suspect.
Suspect.
Yeah, you.
Your situation would concurrently be vastly improved if I had $200 in my back pocket right now.
Silliness. Now, did you ever know that these guys are completely silly 24/7? I don't know how any work got done on this set.
Right? Oh.
Complete silliness.
Editing.
So fun.
Editing magic.
All editing.
Well, thanks for coming on, guys. This has been a blast. A blast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for listening tonight. We sign off tonight with saying, I hope everything's good with you, Mark. We missed you tonight, and we'll talk to you soon. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Two co-hosts, so that'll be cool.
Yeah. Can't wait
Tonight's
to hear
gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, what are you gonna ask? What do you got up your sleeve?
Oh, me? I'm gonna leave it to you, ladies, because since I was on the road with these cats, I almost get to sit back and smile, and as they sit in the hot seat this time. But there was definitely a lot of cool stuff that happened while we were on the road, and it'll be interesting to get into the little minutiae of each case.
And if you guys don't know, we are talking about Chris Zaffis and Jason Gates, who are also on the show Haunted Collector with Brian, which is airing every Wednesday night on SyFy. As right now, we're in the middle of the season, right? We're coming up on episode 6, right, Brian?
Yeah, this Wednesday will be the 6th episode, and it's mid-season.
I hope it's a good one. It's my birthday this Wednesday. So we gotta see Yahoo! I'll be celebrating my birthday watching The Haunted Collector, so that's a good thing.
we collected something especially for you, Lauren.
Oh, how lovely. Thank you. I can't wait to see what it is.
So, Lauren, before we bring in the guys, did you have any questions for Brian tonight?
For Brian, I have a whole plethora of questions. Are you kidding? I was going to hold off on a little bit later, but as far as, I guess, personal stuff, how's everything going? How's your summer going?
Well, I wish to know, Lauren, if you actually have a plethora. Do you have a plethora?
Yes, I do. I have a plethora. It's a little broken.
Zaffis, thanks for joining the show tonight.
Hey, how's it going?
And we have Jason Gates.
Howdy.
Now, where are you guys? One's in Connecticut right now, and where is Jason?
I'm actually in Idaho right now on vacation.
Wow.
I'm actually in the middle of nowhere. I'm looking at my window right now, and I see snow in the middle of July.
My God. So. Was it like a toss-up between Mexico and Idaho, and you just couldn't really figure it out? You just decided to go Idaho?
Yeah, it was kind of between Switzerland and Idaho, and it was it was a pretty easy decision, so I went with Idaho.
All right, you got your own private Idaho. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in. I know. Okay, back to the paranormal.
I think that's the only reason why she brought that up.
She's like, finally, I get to mention this. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
In the box. Oh my God, man.
So, Jason, I'd really like to start out with asking you about your background in the paranormal. How did you get into the paranormal, and how did you get on Haunted Collector?
Actually, when I was in high school, me and a couple friends, we started investigating kind of the local legends around the area. And to be honest, sometimes we take girls out to actually judge their cool factor. How they do, but we go to, the local cemeteries, kind of figure out the legends behind it. and try to go see if we could actually see anything. That's kind of where it started. And then in college, I actually got involved with a paranormal group where we, did the things that paranormal groups do. And it wasn't until I had a kind of a crazy reoccurring experience in my own apartment that I started looking into it a little more. And I don't know if I want to talk too much about that, but It's something that happened over and over and over again. It happened around about 15 times. And then that's really when I, became curious and joined the group Paranormal EXP. I worked with them for about 2 years, and then ended up working with John, which is amazing. And now I'm here.
So, how do you feel about working with John Zaffis, knowing that he's been around so many dark cases? Are you ever worried that may follow him and find you?
I actually find working with John, he's so experienced in everything. I'm if anything, I'm more comforted by it, just because of his experience. Before working with him, I hadn't really dealt with anything, demonic or anything of those sorts. So, on the road as we're going, I'm constantly picking his brain about those type of things, because those personally things I've never really experienced. Some of the cases that he's had to deal with, so I find that very interesting, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of us haven't, and I don't think I actually want to.
We live in a world filled with the unknown. Ghosts and spirits wander through our physical dimension. Undiscovered creatures lurk in the shadows, and strange lights and crafts seem to dominate our skies. Modern science refuses to acknowledge their existence, yet credible eyewitnesses are convinced these things are real, and it's up to independent researchers to search for the truth. Welcome to Unknown Origins Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Unknown Origins Radio. I'm Carrie Ann Versace, and joining me tonight we have Lauren DePinto, as always.
Hello, Carrie Ann. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Good. I'm scratching Kiko's belly right at the moment. We were just talking cats before, so I just had to let you know.
Yeah, I'm afraid my team may cause havoc tonight. But, well, we're sorry to say that John, holy moly.
We've got John on the brain. See, John Zaffis.
What you do. We're sorry to say that we don't have Mark with us tonight, but we do have Brian Cano joining us, and he will be taking the guest spot of hosting with us tonight. So please say hi to Brian.
Hello. I'm here once again to get my radio fix. It's been a couple days since I've been on the radio, and I need it. So I'm here, taking over.
Well, this time you get to turn the tables on your...
But it still works.
Good. My summer's been going well. It's kind of a weird thing to be home and working. I'm doing the freelance video editing, so I'm busy in different ways. And anybody that's been trying to connect with me says, hey, you're back home. What's going on? I'm like, I can't talk. I'm busy. I'm working. Aww. And they assume that, you're filming more Haunted Collect. I'm like, no, not yet. Soon. But not yet.
Yeah. Now, when are you going to be back on the road?
It's a good question. We're actually waiting to hear about that. But
okay. I remember from last year. Oh gosh, how exciting and nail biting at the same time, right?
It really is. And a friend of mine just asked, "Hey, I'm running an event in November. Do you want to come guest and do a lecture and a ghost hunt?" And I said, you know what? It's really difficult to have my life as a big question mark, because I don't know. I could say, yes, I'm interested, but I don't know if I'll be on the road or not.
Right. Yeah, you can't commit. You can't commit that far down.
There are worse problems to have, so I guess I can't complain.
That's right. Good. Well, we're lucky to have you on the show. I'm pretty excited.
Thank you.
Yay. So excited.
Yeah, we're looking forward to talking to the guys. So with that said, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back with Jason and Chris.
Yay.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Once again, it's Unknown Origins Radio, and I am Carrie Ann Versace. I'm joined with my host, Lauren, and Brian tonight.
Hello, Carrie Ann. So glad to be here.
Yeah. And now we have our guests, Chris